Joanne McNally is one of the fastest rising comedians in Ireland. A regular on an array of Irish television and radio shows, she has sold out stand-up gigs all around Ireland and the UK. Her latest work is called Gleebag and it comes to Vicar Street on Friday, April 26th. I'm Mike Sheridan and this is The Delve. Joanne, thanks Mil for coming in.
Thanks for having me, Mike.
We've kind of got a mean director here who's made us start it all over again.
He's all business.
Yeah, see, we're super casual here, you see. But you did stuff for entertainment.ie back in the day.
I did.
Yeah.
What did I do?
See, you're so busy now. This is the thing. But I was going to say we could never afford you now. That's the thing, because you've taken off now in the past couple of years.
That was right. I did some brand stuff.
Yeah, yeah. It was the only way
whiskey or something.
It was the only way we could afford to pay you.
Yeah.
Back then, you see, that was the thing.
Yeah. Look at me now, Mike. Look at me now.
But you were
still here.
I remember you did an event, and I hadn't seen your stand-up before then. I think it was around the time you just started doing the tour with PJ, maybe.
Yeah.
And you did an event for us, and I came downstairs. I was seeing something upstairs, and I came downstairs, and you had everybody genuinely cracking up laughing.
I can't remember that.
No, see, it's such a like regular occurrence for you now at this stage.
Well, thank God they were laughing because that is my job.
Yeah. So you're going to be playing Vicar Street on April 29th, but you're doing a tour.
April 26th.
April 26th, sorry.
Friday, April 26th, I'm doing Vicar Street with my new show, Gleebag.
Yeah.
And then I have 9 other shows. I think it's 9. So I'm starting in January and I'm in Dolan's and Limerick. I'm not going to list them all out, but I'm around the place. I'm floating around. But all the details are on my new website, www.joannemcnally.com. I had to wait for someone to die to get the joannemcnally.com. Yeah, well I did. I don't know if they died, but it just kind of it came back available because for ages I was like, what do you do? Do you know what I mean? Like JoanneMcNally_83.com. Like you can't, you need like your name. And I just randomly checked it recently, like a couple of months ago, and it was back and I was like, yes. So
how did it come back? So somebody just let it roll over?
Yeah, because no one was using it. They just bought the domain name.
Yeah.
But I'm not that smart. You know the way when people when a new kind of social media platform comes up, people go straight for their name. Do you remember back in the day, I remember Googling my name and there was like one other JoanneMcNally.com, whereas now, or one other Joanne McNally on the internet.
Yeah.
Whereas now, Jesus, everyone's got their own website and like web page and all that jazz.
So why did you call it Gleebag? I mean, does that translate outside of Dublin? Because it's a very Dublin specific slang.
It's an Irish thing, I think. Okay. I think it'll work down the country. I hope so. Yeah, Gleebag, because obviously
they're gonna have heard of it.
But it won't work for the UK.
No.
Unfortunately, they don't know what a gee is, and they don't know what a Gleebag is. So I'll have to rename it. But I think it's a very punchy name. Although for ages people thought I'd just call the tour Gleebag. But I don't think I'd get away. I don't think I'd get like any radio or anything if I called it Gleebag. I don't think we get the radio ad really.
You get the radio stuff in the UK, no problem at all. See, that's the thing.
Yeah, because they wouldn't have a clue what it is.
They wouldn't get it.
But I think a show name is really important because it puts, even for your own head, it kind of gives you a sense of what the show is going to be about.
Yeah.
And also, I would go to a show based on the name.
So
especially for Edinburgh because it's so competitive. Like my last show was called Wine Tamer, which was a strategic move on my part because I wanted pissed people basically and women who drink wine during the day because they're my spirit animals, and that's why I called it Wine Tamer. So you can, like, if you choose your name correctly, you can actually kind of sell it.
So we were trying to get you in actually in August, but you were in Edinburgh for the whole month of August.
Yeah, I was.
We've had so many comedians in here in Edinburgh and they all kind of say the same thing. Edinburgh is just super intense.
Yeah, it's very intense.
Is it quite competitive over there with comedians as well?
Oh my God, it's insanely competitive. So there's like 3,500 shows a day on in Edinburgh. I know, 3,500 shows a day in one place. So you're competing with all of them. And because I've no profile in Edinburgh, the UK, so it's different if you're like Jason Byrne and you're selling out the Mound, which is like this, I think it's like a 1,500 seater room. Like when I was watching Jason's audience go in one night, because I was trying to get in myself, they were coming from like Glasgow. Like I couldn't get my head around the length of the queue to go and see Jason. It took them half an hour to get his audience in. And that was every night he was doing that. Selling it out every night. My audience, it took them about 2 minutes to get them in. And they were seated when we started the show. Because I was like in a 60-seater room or something. But like my show sold out. The run sold out. But that was a mix of things. But mostly because I was like flyering the show every day. Because my ego isn't too big to flyer, but my ego is too big to have an empty room. So I have that nice balance of I'm totally prepared to like whore myself out during the day to get people into my show at night, which is what I did. But it is a tour of duty. Like, it's 3.5 weeks long, the festival. And after week 2, you're like, why am I still here? Why is anyone still here? Why am I doing this to myself?
It sounds like a bit of an endurance test, even when ultimately at the end it seems to be worth it for a lot of people.
It's kind of that, it's that thing, it's like, you kind of have to do it. It's where everyone comes to look at who's doing what. So like, people get work out of it, and people get kind of discovered at it, or people get agents out of it, or whatever it is that you want out of it. But to cut through is very difficult. And also it's about doing it every year. Like, it's like running. Like, if you stop, there's obviously some muscle memory. People kind of will forget. Like, you need to be kind of doing it every year. Foil Arms and Hog are doing it 10 years now. They sell out their whole run. But that's 10 years of
But there doesn't
slogging.
seem to be a thing where comedians get too big for Edinburgh either.
No.
Comedians always go back because the rooms are there.
Because then they make serious money there.
Oh, okay.
Like, at the moment, like, I break even in Edinburgh, which is actually pretty good going considering this year was only my second year. I actually made a bit of money this year, as in £200 or something. But like, usually when you're starting out, you'd make a loss in Edinburgh. But then the big acts go, and I think they're probably pulling in about $250,000 in Edinburgh. But you're selling out those big rooms every night for a month.
It's weird because you made a splash here over the course of a few years. You kind of said that at the top as well, because you had Republic at Telly too and stuff. So you would have gotten recognised and stuff here. Yeah. So were you kind of like almost going back to your roots, flyering and stuff, because nobody's going to see Joanne McNally on Grafton Tree handing out flyers for showing the international.
Yeah, no, they wouldn't. Thank God. But there isn't that flyering culture here anyway. Yeah. But it's a nice. I'm at a nice level, as in like what I think is a nice level personally, because I can sell tickets here. But I'm not massive here, so I can go to London, I can go to Edinburgh, and I can mess around, and I'm free to do what I want without people thinking, Jesus, Stadia one having to fly your own show. It's not like I'm Tommy Tiernan going over trying to fly my own show in Edinburgh. Do you know
there's still an element of humility there, though, isn't there? Because you're performing in front of people. That's your job. You're looking for approval. You're looking for laughs, and then you have to kind of be on the stream, and be like, look, come to my show. I promise it'll be funny.
But I don't mind it. Like, I actually kind of enjoy the interaction. Plus, I'm a bit of a hustler. So it's your opportunity to kind of handpick your audience, because what happens is in Edinburgh, you could sell out your show in Edinburgh, right? But you don't know where your audience is coming from. Half of them have just gone up to the board and gone, oh yeah, grand. Like, half of them wine time, or maybe they think it's a show about alcoholism because Edinburgh's all kind of like theme based. If you have an opportunity to flyer your own show, you can talk to people. And I think it's a good way of building an audience as well, because you've made a personal connection with them, so then they're more likely to remember you, and they're more likely to come back the next year if they liked you. And so I actually think flyering is a bonus, even though it is a bit exhausting.
But that's an interesting way of looking at it, though, to kind of feel the audience first, because that's something that an MC would generally do, right?
Yeah.
So where's everybody from?
Yeah, and I would do it in the show as well. Yeah. But it means I get people, you need to kind of find your tribe as such in comedy. It's like in anything. It's like being an actor or whatever. Some people will like what you do. Some people will hate what you do. So flyering is an opportunity to recruit people that you think will like what you do, so you can fill your room with people who you think will enjoy the show.
Yeah, so you don't want to pick somebody, it's difficult not to judge a book by its cover sometimes. We don't be like, somebody's going to be super offended by something that I'm going to say. Exactly.
Whereas if I see a big group of women sitting there, I'm like, they're probably more likely to enjoy my show than a group of 80-year-old men. Although we did get a lot of elderly men on my show this year, which was bizarre. But yeah, so it is that opportunity to kind of handpick your audience, which I like. But I mean, look, the day that I don't have to flyer in Edinburgh, I won't be flyering. Do you know what I mean? I'm not going to be doing it for the love of flyering.
Yeah, I was reading something, an interview that you did before previously, and you were saying that when you first started out, you didn't. I think somebody started heckling you or something in the audience. There was a group of men at the back of the room.
Yeah.
And you said you kind of involved them in the show.
Oh,
and you thought that was the way to do. Was that your first death?
That was my first death. Yeah.
What do you remember about that show?
It was in Chaplin's in town in Dublin, and there was a stag party in. So they were being really mouthy and really gobby, and I was second on or third on or whatever, and so I was like, right, what I'll do is I'll go up and I'll let them know who's boss by giving them loads of attention, and then like kind of over like witting them. outwitting them. This was my plan. So I went up, and they were actually completely quiet when I went up, because when a new act goes up, it's kind of like a fresh slate. Like often, like whoever was giving them hassle or whatever, they'll always quieten down, and it's like a fresh start.
They give you a second.
Yeah, it's a fresh start. So what I should have done was just done my set, completely ignored them, because they were actually behaving. They'd shut up. But I was like, no, this is what I'll do now. So I was like, turn on the lights. So I made them turn on the lights and literally just gave them the run of the room, asked them questions. I couldn't control them. And then all hell broke loose. They lost interest. They were just having their own conversations down the back, laughing. It trickled up. So then the only people who were actually listening to me were like 4 people in the front. But I knew it hadn't gone well, but my boyfriend at the time was with me, and I was like, that didn't go well. He's like, no, you died there. And I was like, did I? And he goes, yeah, that was a death.
Was this somebody who was generally honest with you and would say when stuff had gone well? So you're like, oh shit, I did actually die there.
He'd know a bit about comedy. He was like, no, that was a death. And I was like, oh, okay. Because I knew that was like my first death. It was almost like, oh, right, okay. And what's great is I was like, right, well, at least I know now. I'd never give a stag party attention. Again, I never give stags any attention.
Because that always seems like it's such a tricky balance when there's somebody in the room who's particularly mouthy. How do I deal with them and move on if they just keep...
But that's the MC's job, which I know now. That's the MC's job, to kind of control them, be like, shut up, or get it out of them, let them have their little heckle moment or whatever it is. It's not the act's job.
Yeah.
But the great thing is that if you do have a bad gig like that, the worst is if you have a bad gig and you've no idea what went wrong. The best thing is if you have a bad gig and you went, okay, that was what went wrong there, I'll never do that again. Because you don't learn anything from the good gigs. You don't really.
Because I say that to musicians whenever we have musicians in here. I'm like, how do you judge a good gig?
Yeah.
Is it by the audience reaction, or is it by hitting certain beats in the song or wherever it is? But comedians, it's pretty obvious. It's laughs.
Yeah.
So you're constantly trying to gauge that laugh in your head.
Yeah, you are. I was actually thinking that. I was in Newcastle gigging at the weekend, and I was like, it's so true. You're listening. It's like an accordion going off in your head. You're like listening to what is getting bigger laughs than others, and then like, because a comedian's worst fear is silence.
Yeah.
The quiet is like it's that horrible
just keep
space.
going. Yeah, and it's uncomfortable for the audience too. You know, if you're watching somebody, it's uncomfortable for the audience. And you're like, oh shit.
I know. I find it really hard to watch stand-up now because I don't laugh at anything. I'm just dead inside now. Because you become desensitized to it. You do. And like, I'll smile as an attempt to be like I'm having a good time, but I don't really laugh. Plus, if they're not doing well, it eats me up inside, because I know how horrible it is to be up there knowing you're not doing well.
So are you kind of critiquing them, not in a bad way, but are you kind of breaking down the jokes and stuff, or thinking about the mechanics of it? And
yeah, I'd be judging them, The same as the other comedians are judging me when I'm on. Comedians we're very judgmental, and you're absolutely judging them, because at the end of the day, everyone wants to be the best on the lineup. So whoever else is on with you, you are ultimately competing with them. Everyone wants to win. It's like the Hunger Games. It is. It's genuinely. It's really competitive.
I was going to say that just seems to be a thing with comedians. It's not like this. But the thing about the comedians it is that I've met is they don't pretend to be supportive. They're not like, no. Everybody's giving each other a back up.
Everyone's like giving each other like the death eye from the back of the room. No, like, I mean, I have good friends in comedy, but like at the end of the day, when we're gigging together, like everyone wants to beat their friends. That's just the truth. That's just the truth. No, like, but of course, like sometimes I've been at gigs where I haven't won, like, as in, I'm like, well, fair play, that comedian just absolutely like owned that gig that night. Like, you wouldn't be kind of at home like stabbing a voodoo doll of them or anything. Like, you would, congratulate them and give them their dues. But yeah, we're all there to kind of be the best on the lineup. Because
you found success quite early as well. You know, you were kind of well known. I know you were in a full-time job too. Yeah. You found success quite early, so there must have been a bit of, who's your one thing she is?
Oh, there's a lot of that, yeah.
That must be annoying.
I got lucky. So much of it is about luck and timing and everything. But Jennifer Maguire was finishing. Jennifer and Bernard were leaving Republic of Telly, and Republic of Telly needed a new female presenter. And I was only doing comedy. I think I was only doing it like 6 months, and I got the job. So you can imagine. Obviously, it was a very unpopular decision. And to be honest, to say I wasn't ready for it is the biggest understatement. But I'm so glad I got it, even though I think I made an absolute hames of it most of the time. But it gave me a platform then to kind of work off the back of that. but there's always that thing. It's like in any job, people are competitive and people want to know, why did that person get that and why didn't I get that? And I think you have to kind of squeeze that out of yourself and not be like that, because you can end up kind of looking left and right and you kind of lose focus on what you're supposed to be doing, which is focusing on yourself. Plus, I think everything comes around to you in the end anyway. Like if you're good at what you do and you work hard, you'll have success.
It's almost, I had a similar thing when I presented kids TV years ago.
I always forget that.
Yeah, I know, looking at me, you're like, he's always looked 40. What's the story there?
I always forget that.
But I remember my first to camera and there was no autocue or anything, and I'd never done it before. I'd literally never done it before. And I always remember that RTE2 little logo. Do you know when it kicks in, it's like a bee or something and it comes in?
The which?
The Sting. It's like a logo that comes in before a show on RTE.
Okay, yeah.
And I always remember that because then you'd be on air and it's like, it was on before Home and Away. So
were you live?
Live. And I'd never done it before. And I always remember it, and then I spent like a year or so afterwards just working onto camera and trying to get better.
Yeah.
But I always look back at that time going, shit, if I knew now, you know.
I know, of course, but it's RTE, so at least no one was watching. You can have that much. But I'm the same, like anything live or anything, that is so nerve-wracking. Plus, when you're new to a job, it's like any job, you're like, and I actually think comedy is particular in this, in that you could get a job in telly as a comedian, and then there's nothing with it, like then you're just on your own in that job. It's assumed that you know what you're doing. And when I got the Republic of Telly job, I did not know. I'd never written a sketch in my life. I'd never written a sketch.
So how did it work? Were you in with, there's a writer's room there? They already have writers, right? Not a room per se, but they have writers.
Yeah, there's no writer's room in what I would have experienced now with the writer's room. We didn't have one of those. Like you just kind of like spoke to the director and said like, I have this idea for this, and then they kind of edited scripts with you. And I mean, I think maybe had there been more structure, like I think maybe I could have gotten more out of it, but I did what I could at the time with the little experience that I had, and it stood me good. Like, I mean, obviously it got me kind of to the next level of my job, and it meant that it kind of put me on a radar as a comedian, which I wasn't even sure at the time I was. So it kind of confirmed that. Even for me, I was like, oh, right, okay, I'm doing this now. That was the big thing, that Republic of Telly. I was like, right, I'm doing this now. This is what I'm doing now.
Yes, I think if you go to, you're obviously going around and you're gigging, there's people that go to comedy clubs are obviously going to comedy clubs for a very specific reason. But if you're on a show on RTE2, it's a broadder audience. Yeah. So at least then there's an awareness of you then. Those people be like, oh, I remember her from whatever Republic of Telly or whatever it was.
And actually, I was in Coventry really recently, randomly enough gigging, and the MC was like, oh, I recognise you. You did Republic of Telly. And I was like, how the hell do you know that? He said he was a massive Rubber Bandits fan. So he used to watch all the footage on YouTube or whatever, and he somehow came across it there. So like, yeah, you don't know who'd be seeing this stuff. And it was great because it taught me how to write sketches then. So then I knew, well, like, I mean, I had an idea about how to write them. Yeah, any telly's great because it means you can sell tickets. Like, I don't have... like, I know that some people are in stand-up and they would ideally like to be in acting, and stand-up is a great way of like breaking through, because not as many people do stand-up as they do like actors. I feel very sorry for actors. There's so many of them and they're all really good. So like, it's really competitive to kind of crack through. Whereas if you're good at stand-up, you can kind of break through faster and then choose acting roles. And in the UK, they often ask me like, what's the aim? Is it to get into acting? I'm like, no, I just want to do stand-up. I'll do as much telly as I can. I really like doing telly, but I will do it so that I can sell stand-up tickets. Like I'm not trying to get out of stand-up and get into something else. I love stand-up.
Like, because once you start shifting tickets, nobody can take that away from you once you keep performing. It's not on anybody else's clock. You're not on anybody else's. Nobody can fire you from a TV show, or your TV show is not going to get cancelled or whatever.
They can. They can. But yeah, I mean, yeah, you're kind of you're your own little one-woman machine as such. But it's harder in Ireland now because there's not the same telly opportunities for comedians. Like, I was talking to Neil Delamere about this actually, and
he was the original Republic of Telly host.
Yeah, and he did he did the panel and never mind the buzzcocks. Don't feed the gondolas.
Don't feed the gondolas. Oh yeah.
But like now there is no panel show. There is no sketch show. Where do comedians get to be seen? Where do they come up through? Like, telly-wise, there's nowhere to be now. Like, this is my first Vicar Street that I'm doing, and I'm doing stand-up for 4 years. And Neil, whether he's right or wrong, I don't know, but he was like, had this been a couple of years ago, you might have had several Vicar Streets at this stage because you would have had more telly and more opportunity to be seen. Whereas now it's like, you have to write a fucking sitcom. Like, it's just incredibly time consuming and very hard. You know, that's kind of the way things are going now. So I think RTE should do something about that. Honestly, a panel show. I love panel shows.
Like, do you remember The Panel? The panel with Dara Breen. That was a great show.
Yeah. Like, I just did the Blame Game up in the north there, which is massive.
I saw that. Yeah, because it's on before Graham Norton.
Yeah. And it's such a great show. Like, and Neil Delamont, that's where I was chatting to Neil. But I was like, this is a brilliant, like, and it's great for comedians as well because it challenges you to write regularly about whatever's going on in the news because then you can use it. Like, there's no point in me writing jokes about something that's happened in the news this week because I'm like, I want to write jokes that I can use in a year's time in Edinburgh, whatever it is. Whereas panel shows, you get to kind of exercise that muscle. Yeah, I think RTE needs a panel show.
It does. Bring it back.
You can present it, Mike.
I could present it. I could be the straight man, the unfunny one that's like just made fun of.
You can be my wingman.
Like Mark Lamar with the quiff. Do you remember him years ago?
What happened to him?
I don't know.
Dead.
He was huge for a while, wasn't he? Probably.
Everyone's huge for a while and then you disappear. You have to be kind of careful, don't you?
Everybody gets their 15 minutes and then that's it. So you're back and forth from London as well now. That's kind of the rite of passage for, you go Dublin, London, and then possibly America. That seems to be the
I was only saying to somebody the other day, I was like, I don't know, I'm very kind of, I really like the UK. I don't know how, I'm kind of like, how far can I take this? Like, I would love to gig in America, but then I'm like, oh Jesus, no, I couldn't gig in America. But then someone's like, why couldn't you gig in America? Like, sure, like, you know what I mean? What would be stopping you gigging in America? And I was like, well, apart from a visa. But I was like, yeah, I guess nothing really. But I think Americans have a very different style of comedy. So I'd actually be interested to see how I would do in America. Because I notice American acts when they come here, they kind of struggle. Yeah. They do.
It takes the special ones to really kick on, the really well-known ones.
Yeah, like it's a totally different style. And I'm not, smart enough really to figure out what's different about their style to what's different about our style. I don't know kind of the logistics of it. I don't know why that is. But I know that when Americans come and do things like the Cat Laughs and they do the Ivy Gardens, they don't get the same reaction. Now maybe it's because they're not local and that kind of thing. But there's a different style to... female comics in America have this real can I swear on this?
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, and I fucked him, and then I fucked him, and then I fucked him, my pussy, I fucked him in the pussy. And I'm like, even me as a comic, I'm like, you can't say that. But like saying that to like the Cat Laughs audience at a 2:00 show in the Langton's ballroom, like lead balloon. Like you can hear buses going past outside. So I definitely am that kind of comedian. So I wonder, it's not like I'm not a saint, but like, I'd be interested to see, I would love to gig in America just to see how I would do over there. Is
it an emotional intelligence almost to feel the room and to kind of go, good and bad, to be like, oh, maybe don't do it.
Yeah, I think it is. Like, some comedians are like, you're getting my act, this is my act, you can like it or lump it, and then the people who do like it will kind of look you up and go to your next act. Like, ultimately, you're not, that's what I do in your own shows are the dream, because they're your audience. And obviously some people that have been dragged along and someone else maybe who got a ticket as a present who doesn't know who you are, grant. But the majority of the room will be there because they've hopefully seen you do something before and they like your style of comedy. When you're on a lineup at a festival like that or in a club, no one's there to see you specifically. So you're kind of trying to have little wins in the room of people who do like what you do and hopefully they'll come and see something else. But yeah, so you do have to read the room to a certain degree, but you also have to be yourself and do your material. But yeah, I would not personally walk out and start talking about getting fucked in the pussy at 2:00 in Langton's in Kilkenny. That's my...
Just as the bus goes past it, dead silence.
Yeah, and you can hear someone using their ATM machine like 6 doors up. That I wouldn't do that. I think you do have to read the room to a certain degree. And I think they're probably going for maybe the shock value.
Yeah.
But yeah, plus I noticed with American comedians, and again, not all of them, but they don't perform in the same way as British and Irish comedians perform. Like we kind of work harder to sell the jokes. Again, like I'm generalising. Yeah. And I'm in the business for 4 years.
But it's all from your experience.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, everything has to be from your experience.
Yeah, Americans are way cooler. They just kind of stand there and they just kind of like la 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 la.
It's very much an act. You've got your 10 minutes, you've got your 50 minutes from wherever you're doing. But you obviously started from a very personal place with a lot of your material as well.
Yeah, because the first show I did was about singlehood, which is about I'd been dumped by a bald man. That was the story there. Then the next one I did was Separated at Birth with PJ, which is about our adoptions. And then the next show I did was Bite Me, which was about bulimia. So I've always done, but now it's just stand up. I don't it's not really that personal stuff anymore because I've run out of issues. I've nothing left. I've rinsed myself.
But it's funny though, isn't it? I think that's almost a uniquely Irish thing where you feel like you can take the piss out of yourself. As dark as those issues are, I can, with it self-effacing, I can take the piss out of myself and make it funny.
I was doing a podcast over in the UK the other day, and I was trying to explain, and I was like, I think I know what I mean. I get a bit fatigued with like people talking about their like issues all the time in comedy, even though I've done it myself. And I was like, so I suppose for Edinburgh, things are so heavily themed in Edinburgh, and like people are bringing up shows about like their dead parents and all that jazz, and like depression is the new Pilates. It's like depression is just so popular in Edinburgh. And I was like, why does that kind of irritate me? It's that earnestness, that like really like earnest shit. But yet I could do a show about bulimia and I think that's grand. And I was like, I know, because it's not a pity party. It's a take the piss out of it rather than look how deep and sad I am. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's the line. I think that's why I feel it was okay for me to do it, or else I'm just a massive hypocrite. Because I was trying to work it out, but I think that's what it is. Bite Me never asked for anyone to feel sorry for me. It was more like taking the piss out of myself, that I thought I was like on a really healthy detox, and I'd actually
it's almost like the joke up, joke down thing where, you know, you can take the piss out of yourself, you're in the middle, it's always fair game. You're always fair game.
Exactly, I'm fair game, yeah.
Well, Joanne, thanks a lot for coming in.
Thanks for having me, Mike.
I must head along to the show. Going to see the stand-up.
Please do. Oh, did I mention I've all the other shows? I mention that? I've like the tour, yeah, great. Just, you know, because I think like I've 4 tickets sold for Glore and like 100 sold for Vicar Street, so I prefer to
After this, they're just going to fly out the door, that's it.
Come to Glore.
Yeah, come to Glore.
Glore.
Thanks a mil.
Thank you.